Growing up without our parents was a rough experience, but the worst happened when my brother got into drugs.
He spent all our savings to purchase drugs.
Isolated himself from his family members, and spent most of his time with his friends.
Wow, I did high as I did like this.
He got into many drugs from pills to weed, syrup, and he injected himself. He became very violent and got into trouble. He spent days outside without coming home. The drugs began to eat him gradually. It was painful seeing him lose his mind, but it was more painful when we lost him forever.
Stay safe. Don't do drugs. This is Narco Tales.
Hello and welcome to Narco Tales, where we explore the complexities of substance abuse and recovery. I am your host, Netta Wedozie. Joining us today is Fodio, a courageous individual who has battled substance dependence and is now sharing his story to inspire hope and awareness. Hi, Fodio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Neta.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, so please introduce yourself.
My name is Fodio Ahmed from Niger State. I'm a poet, a farmer, digital entrepreneur, and the founder of Niger State Recovery Network.
Oh, that's nice. What first led you to experimenting with substances?
Well, this story started in 2006. I was 17. I was just a teenager. I think I was in SS1 or 2. And out of curiosity, you know, and some other family issues, and in being around the environment that has normalized substance use and substance use
Yeah.
specifically, that was what actually sparked the curiosity, and like I wanted to feel what my friends were feeling then. I wanted to understand what they were enjoying.
So did you find out what you were looking for?
Yeah, I did, and I shouldn't have, but I did, and of course learned the hard way. Um, from experimentation, just once in a while. We're in secondary school, sometimes we skip school, move around with friends. There's a place we call San Siro then, where we leave school, we go there, we come there from morning until closing hours.
Okay.
And that's basically what we're doing. Gradually, it became part of us. But of course, like I said, we're teenagers. Even though for me, of course, I grew up in a normal home, civil servant parents. My dad was in the military, so it was normal. But at a point, I moved from my mom's place to her elder sister in Kano. I grew up in Kano, actually.
Okay.
I know Kano very well. I grew up in Kano. So I moved from no man's land where we were living, to Ahmad Bellewe in the GRA in Kano to live with my aunt, whose husband, of course, a big man.
So why did you leave home to live with your aunt?
According to my mom, it was all family love. Like, oh, her elder sister doesn't have a young,
Okay.
family love
Yeah.
and stuff. But of course, that decision was actually what would lead me. You know what it means growing up without your parents around. So the experimentation would have been noticed if I was at home, that level. But the point is, nobody was paying attention here. So we're all free.
To do whatever you want.
Yes, there was freedom now. I mean, these are big boys. Anybody that knows Kano, when you say Nasarawa, GRA, Ahmad Bellewe, of course, big shots are there, so stuff. So I was with my cousins, and from there, leaving secondary school, going to tertiary institutions. I started with Kano State Polytechnic, after my secondary school in Kano. I went to Kano State Polytechnic. I was studying economics. What's the other combination? But it was economics something. I've forgotten the other combination. So there, I met a friend, Sanusi, who grew up in Lagos. So, but school brought him back to Kano. Of course, they are originally from Kano State.
Okay.
You know, of course, I was around I think 19 then. So we linked up with Sanusi, who regularly goes to Lagos. Regularly then. So for me, he was just going to Lagos to get stuffs to buy thrift. You know, that was the whole thought. But of course, later when I got into the club, I realized he wasn't. He was actually moving from Kano to Lagos on a weekly basis to go and get codeine syrup.
And at that point, you didn't know what it was.
I didn't. So of course, like I said, I have experimented with marijuana. You know, then like I said, the beginning, the experimentation level, and other substances. You know. So when my relationship with Sanusi became very close, of course, I was living in the barracks, so I had some level of understanding of how the system works, how the authority works. You get. So I had boundaries. You get. So we became very close with him, and that was my introduction to codeine. So it was just normal level when you start. You know, it goes half cap. You know, the half cap. Gradually you grow. And first, the first dosage, you're going to sleep. I slept the whole day. You know, that was the feeling for the first time. You know, as you move in gradually, you start feeling the effect of skipping things. You might think, I did something now. No, I didn't. You know, you start having feelings like that. You know, so it was lovely at that stage. It was lovely. Of course, I left Kano State Polytechnic after the whole, you know, at that stage. My mom's best friend was an Igbo woman. She's from Anambra State. That's my mom. Even though I'm a northerner, my mom's best friend.
Nice.
Yes, her daughter was in Maduna, so she was like telling my mom that, what am I doing in Kano State Polytechnic studying economics and what's it called? So the other combination. So that's how my donor came, and I left Kano State Polytechnic to Okija. Because it was lovely for me shuttling between Okija into Anambra into inside Onitsha. You know? And my like I said, my mom's best friend. So her younger brother, you know, he stays in Onitsha. So I had a place off campus, you know, where I can move around and everything.
Have a place off campus.
Now, no, what I'm saying, like I have a place off campus where I can move around. So there and then we got introduced onto other substances, you know, cocaine, meth, and other. Of course, I was taken. So that's how having accessibility, freedom, lack of parental care, threw me deep into addiction. As it grows, the addiction grows, you know, the desire for supply increases. And of course, even though I like to call myself a functional addict, because my own concept is that whatever supply that I need, I have to work and get money to. That was my rules. You know, so, and I'm a very creative person, you know, and writing is part of me. It's a skill for me. So even though gig of $1 million hour, just 200,000 just to get, you know. So with that, with the connection that I've had with my friends growing up, meeting another friend, meeting this person, because like I said, I was a functional addict. So I was moving, and of course my cousins that I grew up with, are big men children. So I had the opportunity to mingle around, even though like I said, I'm from an average home, but I was mingling with kids of men there. So now this picture, going into this picture now, while being a user myself, around this cycle, and I got to understand how the drug trafficking ring works in the country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we pause, we take a moment to reflect on the courage it takes to confront the past. We'll be right back.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. So Fodio, what were the effects on your personal life, family life, and academics?
Because of this privilege that I have with my cousins who are sons of elites. You know, I have friends who've come a long way. Who I said, this is my friend, we've been friends since 2010. You get? So addiction, it keeps growing. The desire, you know. So I mean, basically, I was so hooked. The substances I was so hooked on was codeine, Blue Boy, Rhinol, and marijuana. Those were my 3 go. Of course, like I said, I have not tested other substances, but this works better for me. This gives me the escape from my reality, from my problem that I thought I was running away from. Because of course, it was one of the motivation. I had issues. There was nobody I could talk to. I had a promising football career as a teenager. But of course, I wasn't around my mom. There was nobody to encourage me. There was nobody to tell me that, you need to do this. Don't worry. The encouragement. You need to do this. Don't worry. Don't bother yourself. It will be fine. Nobody was there. So, I was just self-isolated. Of course, but I'm grateful that I discovered, of course, that those periods while I was experimenting, while I was deeply into drugs, deeply, I was deep into it. I had friends who are players, I understand the system very well. I know I know the corrupt ones. I know who are ready to do this. And I know that, this battle that we're battling when it comes to these issues is not an issue that we can win. Let's just continue trying. This is the reality. This is what are my 16 years of drug addiction. This is the experience for me.
So how did this develop into dependence?
Of course, like I said, I was trying to run from reality. I was trying to run away from problems.
What problems?
Problem as a young person.
Midlife crisis.
Yes. I was trying to understand what should I do. I was a young person now, trying to figure out what yes. That phase was what actually pushed me deeper. And again, I found myself within the political circle. It was a very toxic environment. It was very, very toxic. I was a media assistant to a former commissioner in Niger State. The environment was very, very toxic. So that coupled with other issues, my own personal issues as a person, as a human being, we're always left with choices, and sometimes that's the whole essence of parenthood, to guide you to make the right choices. But there was nobody for me. So I was practically alone because they felt, too much disturb, allow them, they'll grow it, stuff like that, freedom. So those were the factors, those are the reasons that pushed me into okay, fine, I need to escape this. There was nobody that then could tell me that, okay, fine, if you need to escape this, go and read the Quran. You find the relief that you're looking for.
Yeah.
There was nobody to guide me to make those choices. Oh, you are stressed, right? Go and listen to Surah in the Holy Quran. Go and listen to what Allah says in this. Oh, okay, call a therapist. Or go and discuss with someone. There was nobody Of course, there was limited information about these issues. So we are from the north, so we understand there are some issues that are taboos. Literally, you cannot discuss about these issues. You have to pretend like they are not happening. So, of course, all this, the pressure of life, the lack of adequate knowledge and understanding of substance use and mental health generally, were actually what pushed me, what fueled my addiction, coupled with the fact of availability, access to it. When you're with the big boys around, everything is almost excessive, like you can have it at your will. Nobody's going to support you to say, no, this career choice, you should do this. Nobody's going to tell you that. It's a time clock. It's a routine. You wake up, you take throughout the night, you sleep throughout the day, you wake up in the evening. You understand? So you actually, while other people are moving, you're actually just going
in a circle.
Yes, you're rolling in one circle. Yeah. The whole addiction thing is the circle now. You're going to run in one, you keep running in one circle. The only thing is that the desire or the demand increases. A substance gets to a level in your body like it no longer works anymore effectively.
So you have to seek for something higher.
Yes. You need to either increase dose or you need to seek a double another combination. That's the whole issue. That's the whole challenge of, that's where all the overdose crisis is coming from now. You're trying to test this substance. Let me see how this will work for me. So it's a trap, but on the surface, at the initial stage, it gives you the feeling of, friendship. It gives you that illusion of, don't worry, everything is fine. Don't worry, take your problems. Then gradually it becomes a part of you. Right now, you know the reality, but it's already part of you. You cannot do without it. You can't even, the thoughts of withdrawal alone will make you not to I'll just take this thing to go away. I'm not ready to. But at some level, it's about, yes, this is comfort. For me, when I went from normal 1 bottle to upgrading from 1 bottle to 3 bottles daily, okay, this is breakfast, lunch, dinner sort of concept that I was doing with my supply then. I was like, okay, fine. From this, now we're taking 3 bottles daily, half card of rev, for the day. So do you know what it takes to grow from that level to this level? Do you know how long it has been it has become part of me at that stage?
But would you say that you also didn't want to feel left out, or you didn't want your friends to seem like they were doing these things and you weren't? So was that also a reason why you were?
Yes, at the beginning, at the early stage, I'm a fan of hip hop. Generally, while growing up, I was fan of, yes, I love Tupac, I love Ja Rule sort of concept. Those were people I grew up listening to, 50 Cent and co. So, of course, and we understand that the culture, it's an enabler. The hip hop culture for me is an enabler of drug abuse generally. You understand? And of course, it's also some sort of avenue where trafficking is also being masked through the entertainment angle of it. Look at the concept of so many labels. You look at it very well critically, you understand that this is pure drug money pushing. But that's not the issue. We're talking about
drug trafficking. You mentioned something earlier.
Yeah.
I think when you were in Madonna, you had access to, you had a camp, you were off campus, you had a house off campus, right?
I was staying with my aunt, my mom's friend, her elder brother, brother.
And then you also mentioned something about you got to understand how the drug trafficking thing worked.
Yeah.
But you ever at some point tempted to or offered?
Yeah, I was offered. So of course. And the fact that, like I said, I grew up within children of the elite, both in Kano, between Kaduna, my going to school in Okija, and of course Abuja. So of course, the level of people that I know, how they operate. So of course, it was already there. on the side. So taking up an appointment was, of course, the opportunities came like, okay, fine, man, this is a deal. Like someone brought me a deal, then that, man, I want to bring codeine worth of 50 million naira. I've hired 6 Hilux, 6 SUV, this,
Those
SUV,
vans,
yes, you know, and there will be escort to bring this. And this is a deal that I want you to, how can you help me clear this particular, and I have the means, like I had the opportunity to. But I told him that, well, of course it's tempting. Like I know you're doing this, but this is not on my business. And of course I'm not interested. But of course, like it's tempting now, a lot of money is involved. So of course, I've had many instances where I was like called for deals like, come, let's take this, or there's this running that we want you to get involved in this, or we want you to talk to so person. So for them, it is what it is. It's Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That's it on today's episode. You can always reach out to the NDLEA's call center on 0800 1020 3040. My name is Netta Wedozie and I remain your host.
Because these are medical issues, we can't be coming out just like we publish the names of suspects arrested, we publish pictures of the drug exhibits. We can't publish the names or the faces of people that are going through counseling and rehabilitation in our facilities, because that would be against their interest. That would not really be nice. But then we do inform the public again in our weekly statements about some of these activities to raise awareness and also to provide support and help to as many people that are going through, that are struggling with substance abuse. We do provide this information. We also do have a conversation on every Friday, 3 to 5 p.m., where we sensitize the people and also provide this information on how people can get assistance, especially through our call center, where people can get support from counselors, clinical psychologists, and psychiatric doctors who work at our call center, where people can, through our toll-free helpline, get treatment and support, psychosocial support services.
Don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't try it though. He go choke you, he go steal your sunshine, he go shock you, he don't kill him any youth for my area, even for your area. When you start it to stop, it not go easy. As you dey drag am go, he dey drag you down. Water come out from my eyes, oh, when I remember all the guys, oh, where many of them kicking bucket, oh, some cut to socket, oh, make we don't forget, oh, no they talk it, oh, say, don't do drugs, rock up you see body, oh, don't go wound your busy body. If you die, you go sad, oh. Oh yeah, help me tell somebody. Say, rock up, you see body, oh. Body, oh. Body, oh.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.